Y'all, David Atkins, target individual. I'm gonna try to be quick with this. I found, man, this is some good information about shooting and jamming and stuff, and it comes out of Robert Duncan's book, How to Tame a Demon. And I was just reading over it because you never can. The way they erase memory and stuff, it's hard to keep stuff intact, or it is for me anyway. So, I really think this is good information for targets, and a lot of people um, uh, can't get How to Tame a Demon. And I have a copy of it, but I just don't. I've tried to share it. I don't know how to share it, and it won't let me share it. I don't know why. It's just weird, but so I really think this is good information. So I'm going to read this chapter: shielding and blocking signal questions. Is there shielding? And it goes on jamming and stuff and advice and stuff. This has got some good information in it. And me as a seasoned target dealing with direct energy weapons, I can attain to most of what he's saying. Is true and can collaborate him on that. Because a lot of shielding does not work. And a lot of stuff you waste your money on, especially when you're a new target. You run out and buy this, buy that, and nothing works. And he's going to tell you why, but he's also going to give you tips in here. So I really think this is important. When I was reading over it, just because that's the $1,000,000 question: shielding, jamming, how to do it. Anybody gets hit with weapons wants to know how to make it stop. But I'm going to be quick because I am being hit right now. I feel electricity right top side of my head running down my spine, and my whole body's vibrating right now with electricity. It's very bad, so I'm going to try to. And I just took a Zofran. It's a nausea pill, so I'm going to try to do this pretty quick. Okay, I'm going to start out with a Bible verse, and it's Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. This program has definitely humbled me and made me rely on God. And but some TIs don't believe in God. I respect you if you don't. Everybody has their own. It's okay to disagree, and because even if we disagree on the belief in God, we still have one thing in common: we're getting tortured daily. Okay, so here we go. Excuse me, they always do this. They make my nose itch. Okay. Pain signals are most difficult to block besides V2K. Most new TIs do not understand how complex and big these programs are and blame their experience on neighbors and crime organizations. Who has the power to investigate and stop? Why is it worldwide? Who has this kind of budget and who wants to control over the population? Decide for yourself. Is there shielding? This is the $1,000,000 question. Defenses can be classified into these groups: passive shielding, active adaptive jamming, chemical, and mental. Passive shielding is the first approach everyone tries. This is where the tinfoil hat was introduced as the early and naive form of shielding. Unfortunately, I've never seen any solid studies done to say that it works. A simple double-blind study has never been done properly. In fact, other scientific research show that it may amplify and return the signal to the receiver and turn your body into a antenna. As for me, I made a tinfoil. I put tinfoil around my head and put a baseball cap on. Man, my head started sweating and burning a lot worse when I done that. Okay, so it says, a simple blind study. In fact, other science may amplify the return signal receiver and turn your body into an antenna, which makes sense. Because back in the day, the old TVs, if you'd put aluminum foil around your TV's antenna, you'd pick up reception better. Some TIs use space blankets, mylar, to try and deflect radar energy. Some charge their mylar sheets to high voltage static electricity levels and find some dampening effects and symptoms. Many have built Faraday sleeping cages with specific designs that claim that they help them. Some TIs have used refrigerators for shielding with claimed success during heavy assaults. Obviously, be aware of your oxygen levels. If you fall asleep in a refrigerator, you will die. I would recommend using the materials that the government uses on stealth bomber to reduce any radar signature and bioeffects on the body nervous system. Use sharp angles with a deflective material and other materials that absorb, like Teflon, ceramic, and doped rubber. You'll have to research this yourself. The others still may be classified. Full spectrum radar is used, which means that there's not just a narrow single signal frequency that needs to be dampening. Nothing is 100%. Mu metal, which dampens magnetic fields, have some success with TIs. One TI even built a superconductive coffin shielding device cooled by liquid nitrogen. It works perfectly. Don't try that yourself. It's very dangerous. Some TIs use magnets rotating on their bodies. Again, no good scientific studies have been done because it's too expensive to get enough TIs in the same place at the same time to conduct a study and rule out the placebo effect. Unfortunate quality about passive shielding is that it isn't practical and doesn't do the full job. The Federal Communication Commission may not like this recommendation, but people's lives are at stake. Electronic warfare is where it is at. The techniques to jam the spectrum is complicated and beyond the scope of this book. It is not just jamming because that can be overpowered. It's adaptive jamming using semi-chaotic patterns. That means there are particular frequencies that will lock into a target in their environment. You need to create goal signals that the government systems try to track. These change and the false signals must change. Your jammer ghoster needs to be very sophisticated and be reading the signal spectrum in real time. There are several algorithms that can work. Project Soul Catcher Volume 1 goes into more deep scientific details. Most TIs do not have the skill or money to build such a device and program the computer. There are cheaper tricks that can sort of do it. Chaotic random high-powered magnetic pulsars, the opposite random high-voltage static electricity fluctuating sheets. There are several technologies being used, such as nuclear magnetic resonance, electron spin resonance, for example. Can you create a burst MR imager and ES resonator? Add energy into the system as well as monitor the signature return response. Other methods with active jammers are to halt the correlation of the brain signals from those being inserted. There's a problem with that, though. It adds noise into the neural networks of the brain, which has side effects on the target. Power levels are very important. There appears to be a window. General pink noise does not work for long. Some published psychological papers theorize there are beneficial effects to adding noise to the brain, such as creativity. There are many pieces to how the mind control technology works. The idea is to disrupt as many of them as you can, and you might get some relief. It takes a while to reconfigure an autonomous mind to the network. There are many factors. One is neurochemical sensitivity. It's been hypothesized that a sensitizer is used on TIs, a chemical agent that bonds permanently to the nerve cells of a TI. Most TIs are distrustful for doctors and pharmaceutical industry in general. This is where the TI needs to make a decision. If a pill once a day might stop the torture, should they try it? The TI does not want to be diagnosed with a mental disorder. There's a taboo of such a diagnosis, but if the TI uses a private doctor, it will not be known. Also, the TI has concern if they are diagnosed, will they be discredited? And if the brainwashing mind control program continues, they may be tortured worse. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Even the mental instability is caused by external signal. It makes some sense that chemicals might be able to dampen application of these signals. Of course, some drugs leave extreme side effects like turning a target into a zombie. If a TI chooses this course, the practical advice is not to talk about the EH and organized stalking, the electronic harassment and organized stalking, just discuss symptoms. Generally, a TI will be prescribed an antidepressant, a mood stabilizer, or other drug to lower brain activity in the frontal lobes. The technology creates huge emotional swings. The torture creates depression, and EEG cloning overexcites the frontal lobes, a kind of dopamine dump. From one study, 25% of those are forced to take medications were very grateful. Now let's talk about mental defenses. This only applies to TIs with V2K. It's part of every breakdown process the individual and the human will, degradation and fear. It's used in every military indoctrination process. The psychological techniques can be quite complex and have changing a person from one loyalty to another. Understanding the handler's objections is key for resistance and counter-resistance techniques employed. Understanding torture and brainwashing techniques is a must for psychological defenses. SERE, S-E-R-E, is a U.S. program to give soldiers a sense of what torture would entail if captured by the enemy. Study torture so that you can grasp why you're being tortured in certain ways. To help defeat the psychological trauma, be confident who you are and what values you stand for. See a psychologist and try positive affirmations of hypnotism to counteract the negativity from the V2K. Don't know about that one. You have to come up with that. I have my own opinion about that. Which I don't I wouldn't advise nobody to do that. And I don't know why he said that, but I guess, who knows? Surround yourself with positive people. Limit your time on conspiracy web blogs. Misery loves company, but is a downward spiral for many. There are mental rewiring techniques to subdue the external correlated signals, which are meant to create a different personality in the target. This is the gist of the techniques to explore. A TI gets programmed using subliminal synthetic telepathy and during their sleep cycles, often called neuro-linguistic programming. The resistance goals are to decorrelate the programming. There are several discovered technologies and tactics that may help to alleviate some of the programming. The big question that TIs with B2K asks, is there a jammer? Why do commercials or work or government propaganda on less conscious, self-aware human beings? Some TIs have displayed their EEG readings before and after some experiments. What these TIs did was listen to music, their tinnitus frequency, white noise while they slept, or during the daytime for 6 months. The results of the EEG and brain function were very hopeful. Let's look at the theory of why this may have had a positive effect on their psychology. When information in neural networks or wetware is being overridden, it's changing the synaptic connection strengths of the dendrites and synapses under time delay, informational microcircuits and macrocircuit responses. It's like having multiple minds in a single brain, depending on the timing circuits of the brain, which gives rise to the reality perception in the brain and mind. This is one method of how multiple personality disorder can be induced in state-dependent memory. The theories of neural networks which use timings in the brain for altered realities are classified for now. Here's a list of things to try. White noise generators are complete silence while sleeping. Negative ion generators, especially if they oscillate their spray and have random intensity of dispersible of ions. This appears to have a jamming effect. Strong magnetic pulsars, often called EMPs or induction propulsion. ELF scramblers, 20,000 hertz to 1/3 of a hertz. There are many cyclotronically active frequencies in these ranges, especially at the lowest ranges. Door jams and deadbolts are a good idea for sleeping areas. Voice-activated or movement-activated recording devices can help defend against break-ins. One could put flour on the floor to view footsteps and use clever, subtle break-in detection methods. Under carpet pressure sensors to work. It appears there are detrimental effects from a signal piggybacking the alternating current power lines and the static electricity the body accumulates. Earthing and grounding helps some TIs. Use true ground because the body acts like an antenna and a capacitor, inductor, and resonator. Changing the capacitance of the body helps others temporarily because it changes the resonance. Such examples are extending and touching a long metal pole while extending the arms in particular directions. Be sure not to fall for the torture technique of stress positions that are used on TIs and a part of all torture techniques. Some TIs have experimented with 3D magnetic coils, one powerful one on each axis around their environment, XYZ, at low oscillation frequencies at slightly different timings. This would jam some of the NMR imaging techniques if done correctly. Since a wide range of frequencies and wide bands are used, jammers at various ranges disrupt the signal to noise ratio of the receiving sensors necessary for remote neural monitoring. One experiment found relief using coils of different sizes with poles of different vertical lengths surrounding his or her environment helped. There were horizontal Tesla coils. Faraday cage designs using ceramic, Teflon, rubber, mu metal at a sharp angle reflection of radar energy and other dampening materials have helped some TIs. Electronic warfare signal communication jammers. Remember, as of yet, only superconductor chambers have provided real TIs with relief. Nothing on the market is 100% effective, and you will have to experiment with yourself to find what works for you. Downfall of that, most of us don't have money to do that. Okay, and this it says, I feel like they're messing with my heart's rhythm. Is there any defense against it? And this is his thing. This technology can increase blood pressure, cause arrhythmias by training the heart to beat improperly. There are common methods at the beginning of torture and probability kill programs. Strokes can also be induced in this fashion. Some defenses TIs have written about during intense attack wear a thick leather jacket. This seems to absorb some of the radar energy. Other practical advice would be keep some beta blockers on hand. This stops the brain from being able to increase your heart rate. Since his mind control is the key to use the release of hormones triggered by certain brain pathways to increase the heart into a runaway panic. Amazingly, hypnotic distractions such as clapping or plucking the ears can snap the brain's entrainments out of track with temporary beneficial results. What does that tell you about the mental technique being used? Neurofeedback and biofeedback has helped others. And I'm going to read one more. Can I do anything about blocking synthetic telepathy? B2K. It depends on the target's stage of the target's brain adaptation to the synthetic auditory signals. Many studies show that an overactive vagus nerve can cause auditory responses like tinnitus and psychotic symptoms. Some research has shown electrical stimulation at the right current can quell some of the effects of synthetic telepathy and tinnitus. The program involves this way with TIs who develop synthetic telepathy. First, it starts off as faraway voices and white noise from anything that makes noise or sounds like noise from the neighbors, apartments next door. Then it evolves into perfect voices as clear as a mobile phone. Then it's true synthetic telepathy. There are examples when this evolution is not true in reverse. There appears to be several technologies or algorithms working. Why is that? It appears that technology must piggyback neural signals at first. Both pitch and direction is heard, and then over time becomes a whisper in the mind. The idea of synthetic telepathy is that one cannot disguise his own internal voice and thoughts from those injected. Separating synthetic telepathy and mind control is difficult. It is a sophisticated set of technologies and tactics. Let's discuss a few known technologies and a couple lesser known ones. Most researchers claim the microwave hearing effect is the technology behind synthetic telepathy. This, this is the only one way the voices can be inserted into human perception. If you can insert voices into the enemy's head, I will find a way to talk them to death. That was a colonel in the U.S. Army. The microwave hearing effect described by Dr. Frey causes the brain to expand ever so slightly according to the pulse, and that's how it's heard by stimulating the inner ear. Of course, the brain damage is a major concern with this technology. What most researchers don't consider is that an external excitation can be correlated into the brain of the target using both the microwave hearing effect and specific brain entrainment signals. Once autocorrelated, what the brain's neural networks do, only the entrainment signals are necessary to give rise to the auditory cues and not the other kinds of pseudo auditory stimulus via any means. At this stage, it's true. Synthetic telepathy. The target's brain must adapt to the signals over about a year before the other mind control trickery can be done to them, although this time period is debated by researchers. Many targets believe that ultrasonic heterodyning is occurring to them. This could be done by ultrasonic energies that can't penetrate much and diffuse over distance very quickly. See American Technology Corporation. It was made famous in the U.S. by a billboard in Times Square, New York, a paranormal activity movie advertisement. In the early stages, the sounds piggyback the normal nerve cells. This can be dampened by being in an acoustic anechoic chamber of putting mineral oil in the ears with earplugs. Without any stimulation, the autocortex piggyback signal cannot be correlated by the brain and can delay the onset of the rest of the mind control program. Some EEG signals are helped by playing music into the mind while the target sleeps over a period of about 6 months. This disrupts the correlation as the target gets programmed while they sleep. Unfortunately, it only seems to delay the full mapping of the audio cortex responses if targeted 24/7. Counter arguments have been made by researchers that the microwave hearing effect is not the source of the communication of the target. Several well microwave shielded environments have been created. The communication can penetrate them, and with oscilloscopes, the power spectroscopes have shown that RF wavelengths under 450 megahertz still penetrate while mobile phones won't pick up any signal. This is a counterindication that microwaves are not necessary to accomplish synthetic telepathy. One interesting experiment to try is a time-delayed voice response. Most TIs do not have technical expertise to build one themselves, but they can find one at any city science discovery center. Since the nerves of speech easy to decipher, many companies have formed to show this, including NASA. One way to screw up the B2K is one of these machines. Why does it work? Everything's about autocorrelation. If you screw up the sound that's being made by time delaying it, their instruments also cannot correlate the speech sent back to the computers or the person's hearing interpretation. Some TIs find the mu metal surrounding their head dampens the effects. Mu metal is a magnetic field damping material. There are many theories by scientists that point to ion cyclotronic resonance as a mode of action in the nervous system. This requires Earth's magnetic field to do it, a kind of magnetic scalar wave. extremely low frequency modulation range of ions in the human body. Other experimenters have researched stealth bomber defenses for a low radar profile. These materials help too. Sorry, due to national security, they cannot be listed here. But some researchers give hints like Teflon, rubber, and high dielectric materials. Try to lower radar profile in your body. It's worldwide, so you can't run from it, but you can dampen some effects by randomly fluctuating high electronic static fields and magnetic fields. In the case of fluctuating magnetic fields, slowly opposing poles of magnetic fields have had beneficial effects, and electromagnetic impulses at high intensities and unpredictable intervals have had some success. Why study NMR and ESRs and signal intelligence theories? Other experimenters have used an acoustic sound wave to distract brain from interpreting external sound signals. Binaural beats at 7.8 hertz and 3.3 hertz have helped others. So that's what I got. I hope I help somebody, especially with the V2K and stuff. You know, I've used the music for the V2K. I had a friend tell me put headphones, get a good set of headphones, and put them in your ear and listen to music constantly. And he prefers Christian music as a way to break but like you said, it has to be done 6 months straight. So there's a lot of different things I liked in this thing. A lot of different suggestions. Some of them were way too deep for me to understand. But my thing, and he says it differs with everybody. So, you know, my dealing with shielding, nothing works. Nothing works. So my only shielding is prayer, reading the Bible and praying, and just trying to keep a positive attitude through all this, even when I'm getting fried like I am now, and forcing myself to help others, because helping others is a way to get out of yourself and be selfless. So anyway, God bless y'all. I hope y'all are dealing with this the best y'all can. Have a good day. I'll probably do another video Thursday, if not Thursday, Friday. I mean, not, hold on. Today is Thursday, so Saturday. My bad. I lost track of time. God bless.